Hello and welcome. This is James from the DSO Imager channel. Tonight I want to show the processing workflow that I use to complete my latest project with my Celestron Edge HD8, and that would be the Lion Nebula. Now what you're seeing here is a shot I took last year with my 115mm refractor, and this was the first time I ever imaged the lion, and this area right here I was very interested in getting to see more of. In particular, this stream of what looks like O3 was very peculiar and interesting. So after doing this shot, I had wanted to point my edge at this and get a closer shot. So that's what I did. And here we have the stacked subframes here. Now, I do need to mention that we've had a really long string of clear nights. In fact, we're going on like 3 weeks here of clear nights. Every night except for one or two have had some clouds in them. But throughout this stretch, it's also been pretty windy out. And my Celestron Edge struggles in the wind on the EQ6 R mount. I did take the dew shield off, but it still struggled. The guiding was pretty bad, especially in the deck. And under normal circumstances, I wouldn't even image. I would just toss all the subs. But we had such a terrible spring that I was going to go forward and do this anyway. So anyway, the raw data is not up to my usual standards. But anyway, here it is. So here's what the S2 looks like. Yeah, you can see how bad the stars. I mean, this almost looks blurry to me. Here's our HA. HA doesn't look too bad. Zooming out looks pretty good. But zooming in, yeah, I mean, you can see the stars. It's not as bad as the S2, but I do think overall the whole image has suffered. But you'll see I leveraged Blur Exterminator, which really helped a lot. And here's O3 and that all-important structure. And let me show you the breakdown in subs really quick. I believe, oops, it should still be showing here if it loads up. There we go. So yeah, 51 hours and 40 minutes. Was 51 hours necessary? No, probably not. I probably could have stopped somewhere around 25 to 35. The reason I kept going was because, again, the conditions weren't very good. Also, I had rotated the camera to frame up this particular nebula very well, and I want to rotate the camera back. So between the windy conditions that were giving me poor guiding and the slightly different camera angle, I just wanted to stay on this one target, and I didn't want to start a second target under these conditions. So I just pretty much parked the scope on this for the duration. Now we got the moon coming back out, and I figured, you know, now's as good a time as any to cut this project and hope the wind calms down. Alright, so let's take a look at what we got here. Here we go. So this is the initial LRGB combination with unlinked auto stretch. Ran dynamic background extraction against it. And actually, this is a little bit too far ahead. Let me back this up some. Alright, there we go. There. So that's Blur Exterminator right there. So take a look at what Blur Exterminator did to these stars. I mean, these stars look terrible. And there. They're tight, and now they're round for the most part. And how about some of that nebulosity? I mean, the difference is huge here. So I think it's helped, even though the better the quality of the data is from the beginning. In this case, because I do have so much integration time, it gives Blur Exterminator a lot to work with. And so Blur Exterminator, of course, did its thing with the stars, and then also, because I had all this integration time, it really helped with the nebulosity. Now, I still would have preferred this to look better, and I think it would have if I had better conditions outside. This dark nebula is looking okay. I mean, again, this is like little or no processing. All we did is dynamic background extraction and then run Blur Exterminator. We're still linear. But yeah, I mean, without Blur Exterminator, this data may have been unusable. Alright, so stars are gone using Star Exterminator. We'll add those back later. And then I did a stretch. And for the stretch, I just simply did, I used the unlink auto stretch and applied this to histogram and then applied it to the image. So I think in my opinion, the unlinked auto stretch actually does a pretty good job with the initial color balance on SHO images. Now you're seeing some tweaks here. I believe I used the SCNR tool to pull back on green a little bit. You're seeing some of that here. Of course, doing that is pulling all this purple out. Some curves work now. Inverting, subtracting a little bit of green. So I kind of ended up here, and this is where things diverged a little bit. So this is like one path that I was taking, and I wasn't too crazy about how the colors were looking on here. I tried it again. I ended up here. This was actually what I would call my true first pass, and this I really overcooked. To me, this is overcooked. I mean, this detail looks pretty good, but the overall image just looks way too, I don't know, this area right here is really, it just looks like I overdid it, and I did. And I didn't like the way the color came out on this too. Way too bronzy, kind of turquoise color. I mean, I guess maybe some people might like this, but I wasn't happy. And actually, so I got to this one. I did my usual 24-hour cooldown. I don't think it made it 5 hours. And then I went back here and grabbed this, a copy of this, and ended up here and started all over again. Now, again, it's a lot of curves work. You can see I took some of the green out here, but I do want to show something that is a little bit new that I did, and that's with the color masks. Now, I'm sure you guys have used color masks before, and this is what you're used to seeing. But there's a new color mask script out there, kind of a modification, and it is right here. And this works so much better. So I stumbled across this watching one of Adam Block's videos. So here's his video where he goes through great detail talking about this this new script for color masks, and I'll put a link to this video in there, and also where you get the script on his page. If you scroll down to here, it's right in this, and you just download this this color mask script, and to apply it, exit out of there. See if I could remember how to do this. So you go to script, you go to feature scripts, and you go to add, and you basically just navigate to the folder where this new color script mod is, and then you enable it, and you hit done, and then it should show up under utilities, and it'll should look like this. So let me just demonstrate it really quick. What makes this script really good? Because the problem that I've had in the previous script is that there was no preset for like purple. The closest thing you can get is magenta, and when you run magenta against this, why don't we do that really quick? It it selects way more, right? So again, let's say I want to do something with this purple. So I've selected magenta, and there. I mean, it grabbed. I mean, there's no real. There's a little bit there, but there's not much there. There's no purple in here, you know. So it's looking for magenta values and not necessarily purple values, and so it just grabbed a lot more than what I want. Now, the neat thing about this mod here is that it's got two things, right? You got this color wheel, so that makes it a lot easier, and you also have a place in the image where you can click. So this area here shows what the mask is going to be, right? So if I move it to magenta, we can see. If I just hit OK now, it's going to make a mask, and this is the amount of color. This start hue and end hue, I can control it. And while you had this in the old one, you didn't have a visual representation. So you see how I can manage this to get more blue if I wanted. If I want to make it really narrow, like isolate the purple, I can go as narrow as I want. Better yet, I can click in the image and see how it. Here, let me make this a little bit easier to see. Yeah, see how it's showing me where that purple is. Where I clicked on right there was red. I guess the only thing I wish you could do here is maybe zoom in on this image. I don't know, it says reset zoom here, but anyway, so you can click in this area and you can see exactly what kind of color you're looking for. And so you can define your color mask more accurately. And there, see, that's hitting the regions better than before. And I just did it a quick job demonstrating, but I used this new color mask, and it made it much easier to control things here. All right, so let's continue with the workflow. So you can see I had that color mask for blue, and I was just kind of pulling some of the green out of the blue. Inverting again, there, see? Let me back up. See how there's green, right? So everything that shows up green in the inverse is purple. And there's the mask that I used. So this mask did a pretty good job of targeting this corner without impacting the rest of the image, which is exactly what I wanted in dealing with that purple. So that purple's gone now. So some more contrast work. We got a new mask on there. We're working on the yellow. You know, yellows are kind of funny. I see a lot of people turn them red, and I do like that red, but I don't know. I had some trouble making it red, and what I ended up with was this bronze color, which I definitely do not like. So I think what I did this time was go for more of a gold look to the yellows. Now, when I got to this point, I saved a copy and took it into Photoshop, and I used the camera raw filter on there. Let's see. Yeah, so this is actually the final image, but do we have? Yeah. Yeah, so I'll just show really briefly. So filter and camera raw. Alright, so this gives you a lot of good options, but just like everything else, this is where you can really overcook an image, and I think that's what happened to that. We'll call it the bronze version. I went overboard on clarity here, right? So see what this is doing. I mean, it does some neat stuff. It really pulls out the dust in that area, but um, I don't know. It's if you get tunnel vision and you're focused on a specific area, you don't realize what it's doing to the rest of the image, and then you step back and take a look at the whole image, and you're like, ugh, what happened? But anyway, I played with that. There's dehaze, and I'm just doing exaggerated controls to demonstrate. You got saturation and vibrance. Let's see, I did tweak the whites and blacks and the shadows, and then you can mess with temperature. I don't believe I did anything with the temperature, right? So you move it over here if you want a warmer image, and you pull it back if you want a cooler image. And then tint, of course. So I don't think I messed around with tint too much either. It was mostly clarity, dehaze, shadows, and maybe a touch of vibrance. Alright, back to Pixinsight. So this is what I ended up with after working with the camera raw filter. You can see that we still have a little bit of noise. Oh, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, this is what the noise looks like with 50 hours. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you really got to, this is a darker area, and you got to zoom in quite a bit to see the noise. Zoomed out, you don't notice it at all. But I did hit it with Noise Exterminator. But let's see what I'm doing here. So we got a mask, and yeah, still slight color adjustments here. Alright, preview window up there. I'm thinking, yeah, so you can see Blur Exterminator's already been used. Has it? No, maybe not. Yeah, working on the color some more. Just trying to get more contrast, because this area is not as sharp as it was in the bronze image. Like, I think that's how this image got out of control for me, because I was so focused on trying to squeeze out as much as I could out of this. I mean, and again, it was so windy out. The guiding was terrible, and I think that's what kind of pushed me to overcook the image on this process. So I decided to just kind of leave it soft and focus more on the colors. So now another thing with the bronze image that I didn't like too much was the stars. So in a lot of my images lately, I've been trying to pull out as many stars as I can. But in this case, I just felt like there were too many stars. Like, it took away, it didn't help the picture. It made the image look almost staticky, right? It's too busy. So for this version, I redid the stars, and I didn't stretch them as far, so there's a lot less stars showing. I did use pixel math to put the stars back. Let's see, yep. There's our formula to screen them back on, and this is the final version. Alright, so really cool, and again, this is a really neat object. When I first took a picture of this, and when I looked at other pictures, you know, I thought this was some kind of like beam or ray coming out. But I mean, what's the source? I don't see anything here. I mean, this is in the Mission Nebula, and to my knowledge, basically what you have going on here is you have brand new young hot stars that are created, and then they are sending out all these stellar winds, right? All this radiation. So the shapes of the emission nebula that we like so much is a very temporary thing, but they're sculpted by these stellar winds that are coming out. Eventually, this whole center would clear out, kind of like if you look at the rosette, right? The rosette is kind of hollowed out in the center as all that gas is getting pushed out. So I'm starting to wonder, and looking at it with this bigger scope here, that this may not actually be a ray. This may just be a front of O3 that's being pushed out from the center. And in fact, if we look up here, right, you can kind of see a similar shape on the opposite end. So I don't know if there are any real astronomers that are watching, or if anybody knows or understands the flows of the gas in this particular nebula. I'd love to know exactly what is causing this rather unique looking structure. But I mean, this thing right here is the reason why I wanted to take a close-up shot of this target. All right, so give me your thoughts on this one. Did you like the bronze version more than this one? You pull it back up. I guess it's okay. It's just, for me, this is why I have that 24-hour cooldown period, because I came back after a few hours. I looked at this and I was like, bleh. Time to do this over again. But you know, I know some people don't like green in their images at all, and the red is a really attractive color that I see a lot of people use in their images, but it's very hard to get the red in there and preserve some of the green. I can do it on some nebula. My narrowband rosette does that very well. My Pac-Man shot that I've done that, but looked great with some red, yellow, and green in there. But I wasn't able to pull it off with this one. So anyway, let me know what you guys think of the colors. Oh, let me know what you think of that new color mass script, that mod with the color wheel in there. Have you guys been using that one? Did you know about that one? Let me know what you think about that. So if you've made it this far, I'd sure would appreciate a like and a subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And with that, I'll say clear skies.